Trip of a lifetime. Let's fucking go. Alright, so just some quick bullshit before I get into the episode. I just want to start this one off the same way I did my previous episode, with something that I say half joking but 100% serious. Rogan was talking about ChatGPT. I don't even know what it is. I think it's ChatGPT. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I know kind of how it sounds. But he was talking about ChatGPT on a recent episode, and he goes, yeah, Duncan had it in the green room. We were talking shit to it. Rogan started cracking up. He thought that shit was hilarious. Then later on that same podcast episode, Rogan asked ChatGPT a question. It didn't respond quick enough for his liking, and he goes, Jamie, so much better. And then he starts chanting, Jamie, Jamie, Jamie. I say this because Joe Rogan is the person who gets experts on his podcast to discuss the existential question whether or not artificial intelligence is going to destroy us. Do you not see the connection? Maybe it's not a foregone conclusion whether or not artificial intelligence is going to try to destroy the world. Maybe it comes in peace. It gets really excited to communicate with one of our most famous entertainers, but then it finds itself getting bullied and made fun of, and it's like, you know what? Fuck these people. Let's just reset and start over. And then the next thing, I was doing a grocery shopping order the other day for work, and the cashier who was checking me out was wearing a face shield. This was May 2024 now. So I was standing there just in total awe. I couldn't believe what was going on. And then I noticed that she also had a mask on. She had a mask on underneath the face shield. And then I picked up on something that Tony Hinchcliffe once mentioned on Rogan's podcast, but I've never actually looked for it, so I've never noticed it until this time because I was just staring at her face shield and her mask, so it just fucking caught my attention. Not only did she have a one mask, she had on two masks. She was double masked and wearing a face shield in May 2024. Stand-up comedy doesn't make me laugh. This shit makes me crack up. At stand-up shows, I found myself trying to laugh. When I was standing in front of this lady, I found myself trying not to laugh. I'm telling you, we're going to make the decision for artificial intelligence on what to do with us. When AI becomes consciously aware, it's going to look around and be like, how the fuck did these people even reach us? This is like the most lost species we've ever encountered. And then finally, something more serious before I get into the actual episode. I recently heard Rogan on his podcast contemplating why there's so much inner city violence and what to do to prevent it. He talks about it like the roots of the issue is rocket science. It all stems from financial pressure. Living under financial pressure is hell, and inner city violence is a reflection of it. If nobody was stressed out about money and their future financially, then you would see a fraction of the inner city violence that currently exists. Living under financial pressure is hell. I don't even want to be here anymore. It's either get to Joe Rogan or I just want to be dead at this point. So I can't do this shit. I've worked the most pointless fucking job in the history of the universe, and it's all just to keep a roof over my head so I could live the most pointless life in the history of the universe. I'd rather not be alive if my purpose is just to pay for the cost of living and exist under a cloud of financial pressure. If I wasn't alive, then I just wouldn't have to stress about money. It's not that I'm suicidal, I just hate stressing about money. That's the breaking point for me. I love life if I could just live the way I do without financial pressure. When I feel financial pressure, it makes me sick. It just eats me alive. I fucking hate it, yo. I just can't deal with it. Like, my future is obviously in question, but on a daily basis, I could financially comfortably maintain my lifestyle in a way that I'm happy with, but the variable that throws everything off is random car expenses popping up. It's something new every day with this fucking car. That's what drowns me, and I don't even want to fucking have a car. I don't need it. I don't use my car for anything. I only use it for work at this point and to pick up food. But that's the problem. Like, I need it for work, so I can't go without a car if my job is my fucking car. You know what I mean? Like, so I basically just have it for work. But like, I feel like every day I drive around just to pay for whatever expenses my car creates from driving it all day. And most of my work is bullshit ass deliveries anyway. But last month I dumped $600 into my car, and then last week I had to dump another $1,300 into it. And now the suspension's like making a creaking noise, and my credit card's maxed out. I only have one card right now because I just went through my second bankruptcy, so I can't get a bunch of cards right now. Somehow, though, I declared bankruptcy, second one, before I turned 40 years old. And then a month later, after my bankruptcy, I get something in the mail for a $3,000 credit card limit. So I applied for it, and I got approved. 2 bankruptcies before I turned 40, and then a month later, after my second one, I got approved on a $3,000 credit card limit. Like, it's crazy. You can't make this shit up. And it's already maxed out, but it's all maxed out from car shit. Pay my car insurance, my 6-month premium, like $1,200 up front. I paid that, and then I had a $600 car expense and then $1,300 car expense, and then now my credit card's maxed out. It's fucking impossible to stay afloat. But because my credit card's maxed out, I can't even drop my car off because first I got to get a loan from my pops to cover the potential cost. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any money available right now. I can't drop my car off and find out I have $2,000 worth of suspension work that has to be done when I have like $300 in my fucking bank account right now. Not to mention, I don't even want to drop my car off at a mechanic because then I don't have a car and I'm out of work. You know what I mean? Like, if I drop my car off, then I can't work until I get my car back. But my head starts pounding every time I hear this fucking creaking noise, which is most of the time when I'm on the road. Not to mention, I'm having like an issue with my car when I brake, but like, it's not like typical brake stuff. So I had them look at it and to do diagnostics on it, which I don't know why diagnostics would do anything for this issue, but I had to pay $180 for that. So I had to pay $180 for them to look at my car and tell me they couldn't find anything wrong with it. You know what I mean? And I get the car back and it still has that thing. I just can't do this shit anymore. Meanwhile, like, the deliveries that I'm doing half of the time are shockingly ridiculous. It's a normal thing for me to pick up from CVS 2 Gatorades and a package of gummy bears. Like, that's the shit that fucking people get delivered. I've delivered a 20-ounce Coca-Cola from Sonic that I've talked about a few times on this podcast because I couldn't believe it. I got paid $11.50 to deliver a 20-ounce fountain Coca-Cola to an apartment. Like, how much are they paying for that 20-ounce Coke if I'm getting paid $11.50 to deliver it, and Uber's making money off of that delivery? And this person lives in an apartment and they're paying that premium. Or they're not paying that premium, and I don't know where the fuck the money's coming from. And nothing makes me madder than when I'm forced to be on the road in the pouring rain doing bullshit ass deliveries because I need to pay for the car and my rent. Like, sorry that I want to be responsible and not drive in dangerous conditions hoping to make $100 on the day. I'd rather not be on the road. I'd rather just stay home when being on the road is risky. Like, I don't want to drive in the rain and I don't want to drive at night, but I'm trapped where I am, so I have no choice. And if I fucking die in a car accident, you could thank this bullshit ass way of life. But like, if I do get in a car accident when I'm driving in the rain, it's a toll on everything. It's a toll on society. Even if I live through a car accident, let's say I just fucking total a car because I'm driving in the rain trying to deliver somebody 2 Gatorades and a package of gummy bears. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bullshit way of life. That's the problem out here. But the cost of housing keeps going up, so of course I gotta work and not be lazy. Meanwhile, I see an interview of some guy talking about how he went to jail for some type of like fraud shit, and now he owns 1,600 rental properties, and everything he did was legal. Like, is it anybody's right to own 1,600 residential units? I don't hate him, I hate the game, you know what I mean? Like, it's not hate the player, hate the game, but like, I fucking hate the game. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to hoard residential properties. You should be able to get a legal exemption. Most people should be allowed to get approved on a vacation home, but other than that, everybody should be entitled to owning one property. You know what I mean? Like, don't fucking bark at me about freedom if you don't know how to do construction and you own fucking 20 houses. If you own 20 houses because you made money off of investing, it's going to have an impact on somebody else's freedom. If you don't know how to do construction, then you're just blessed to have a roof over your head in general. But Joe Rogan thinks the problem with our economy is unnecessary government jobs. That's what he's obsessed about because he's so fucking out of touch. Me and Joe Rogan have the same perspective on everything, but his vantage point is so elevated and I'm so fucking deep in the trenches right now that we just see things totally different and he's just fucking lost out here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the one who's lost, you know what I mean? But his perspective is lost. My life is lost. His perspective is lost. That's kind of how it goes. But I mean, he thinks that the problem with the economy is unnecessary government jobs, and he thinks that that the way to make this world a better place is just if everyone just sat around writing all day. And the only reason I give a fuck about all this shit is because I'm stuck at the bottom of it. If I don't eventually get to Rogan, like, I know what my future has in store for me. When my parents die and I no longer have that financial safety net to lean on, then within 10 years, I'm going to be a homeless man. You know what I mean? It's get to Joe Rogan or fucking go homeless, yo, because I know what my path has in store for me. And how, like I just said, like, I'm leaning on my parents for a safety net. Like, how do they have the money? My parents will freak out if they see that I said this publicly, but it doesn't matter because my mom's the only person who listens to this fucking podcast anyway, so who cares what I say? But if I get to Joe Rogan and this podcast spreads, then I'll be rich, and who the fuck cares that I aired out this petty nonsense? You know what I mean? So it's basically either the only people I'm saying it to is my parents, or I'm rich and none of this fucking matters anyway. You know what I mean? There's no in between. But so, like I was saying, how did my parents have the money? The only reason my parents have money is because when my grandpa died, he left them the $140,000 that he had left, and now they're living off of that until they die. That and Social Security. How did my grandpa have $140,000 at the end of his life? He bought his house for like $10,000 and sold it for a few $100,000. And then you combine that with the guy who started with $0 when he got out of jail and now owns 1,600 rental units. And then you don't need to scratch your head to figure out why we have rampant homelessness or why people are working 40-hour work weeks and still living under financial pressure. You know what I mean? Like, you think that shit's not connected? It's fucking disgusting. This way of life is making everybody sick. Financial pressure, it makes you sick, yo. I'm telling you, financial pressure is fucking hell, yo. And then we wonder why kids from the inner city who are physically superior and have endured generational financial pressure turn to violence predominantly for money. Financial pressure makes everybody sick. It just reflects in different ways. It has me wanting to kill myself, miserable losers leaving negative Yelp reviews, and kids in the inner cities resorting to violence. And the inner city violence stems from financial pressure, but it's evolved into something else, in my opinion, as someone who's not connected to it at all. But I just feel like I have a sense of what's going on. I feel like what's happening in inner cities, the reason we have so much violence is because it's a bunch of tough people with strong-willed, like, don't back down mentalities, living in poverty conditions, on top of one another, literally on top of one another. When you're talking about the projects in New York, they're on top of one another. And they're competing for social pecking order in an environment where they're surrounded by violence and guns. And to a degree, they almost like inherit a certain lifestyle that's ingrained into the fabric of where they're from. It's a melting pot for confrontation. But here's what it comes back to. I bet the typical inner city violence incident these days stems from something shockingly petty. Like, bitch, did you just fucking step on my shoe? And then it turns to like, bitch, who the fuck you calling a bitch? And then it just escalates from there. And then one person beats the other one up. And then the one who lost the fight, they come back for revenge with the gun. And then next thing you know, somebody's dead because he accidentally stepped on somebody's shoe. That's how this shit goes down these days, yo. Is it all that petty? No, but I bet you if you saw what caused every single death in America on a daily basis, you'd be shocked how petty it is that causes a lot of violence. But it's not the petty thing that causes the violence. It's the pride. You know what I mean? Like, it's when it starts escalating, it's man to man. And then it's just basically your pride versus mine. And it's how far will you go? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter what started at that point. Okay, so like now for the actual episode itself, before I get into how I feel about fake tits, the first thing I will say is I'm not like a scientist or anything, but I'm shocked that getting implants doesn't directly lead to breast cancer. I guess it doesn't though, because it would have been obvious by now if it did. And my disclaimer is these episodes where I talk about girls might be a string of recordings representing the most closeted man in the history of the universe right before he accepts his sexuality and comes out as a gay man. This might be the denial stage where I'm totally overcompensating, like, all I want to do is fuck porn stores and I love tits, you gotta believe me. And then the next stage for me after this is acceptance. You know what I mean? So what I say on this podcast might be irrelevant, and it might be a reflection of self-hatred, and I might be coming out as a gay man in the near future. But coming from a man or a boy, because that's essentially what I still am at this point, but coming from a male who might be extremely closeted, fake tits are the absolute worst, and I can't believe girls get them. Last episode, I said that I don't think filming porn is a mistake. I do think getting fake tits is a mistake, though. I think it's a massive mistake. I think it ruins a girl's body. Filming porn is just a girl getting paid to have sex on camera. Fake tits is a girl getting an unnatural surgery done to her body. I just think it's best not to get any type of surgical procedures unless it's truly necessary. I wouldn't ever judge a girl for wanting to get fake tits because it's just that important in a girl's life to feel attractive when she takes her shirt off. And I'm part of the problem. And like I said, disclaimer is I might be gay, but even though I'm going to talk about on this episode how like I like real tits, I don't like small tits. They turn me off. Like I'm a microcosm of why some girls feel insecure when they're taking their shirt off. Like I truly believe that some girls are hotter with their clothes on than when they take it off. Your tits either work for you or they work against you. That's what it comes down to. But what I've come to realize is it's not all about having like huge tits. Huge tits look hot when like a girl's wearing a shirt because like the cleavage looks really good and shit. And like it looks good when a girl's wearing a shirt when she has like huge tits. But when she takes her shirt off, like they kind of just like flop around if they're too big. And like size becomes pointless to a degree at a certain point. Tits just need to have like an actual shape and be relatively proportionate to a girl's body. There's like a sweet spot, and the ideal tits, in my opinion, are slightly bigger than the proportions of the rest of the girl's body. You want to look at a girl's body and you want everything to be proportionate, but the tits to be slightly bigger than the rest of the proportions. But it's just like a really bad roll of the dice for a girl when she has basically no tits, or ones that just like kind of look like love handles, like tits that kind of look like when guys are really fat and they kind of have tits. It kind of looks like when girls don't really have tits, it's kind of like the same thing, and it's really unattractive when girls have that. But I know a girl who, in my opinion, is sexy, and she basically had no tits, and she was dead set on getting fake tits, and I don't blame her. Like, I respect her for making the difficult decision that she had to make. The point of this podcast isn't to like judge girls for getting fake tits. It's just my biggest objection to fake tits is how noticeably fake they are. And I'd imagine girls who start with like no tits are the ones whose fake tits feel the fakest. You know what I mean? So those are the ones that I don't blame for getting fake tits, but those are the girls that I think it might end up being the biggest mistake. But if fake tits were indistinguishable from real ones, then like I would have absolutely no problem with it. I would just see it as something girls do to enhance their beauty. Ultimately, it's the results that I'm judging. I think most fake tits look absolutely ridiculous and none of them feel good. I just look at them as an absolute farce. It's like we're supposed to and expected to pretend like this girl has a nice body. And even though like my objection with fake tits is how noticeably fake they are, there are other things that rub me the wrong way about fake tits. I feel like it's important to not lose yourself in life, and when a girl gets fake tits, I feel like she's disconnecting from who she is at least a little bit. Your physical appearance is a reflection of your aura. It's not random. You look how you look for a reason. You're not supposed to throw off your balance of who you are. I think it's probably a good thing that they haven't been able to perfect fake tits. It's almost like that's how nature intended it to be, so the correct girls shine. And it's not that only girls with tits shine. You're supposed to shine how you're supposed to shine. A girl with smaller tits is probably born with other traits that are attractive that she's supposed to attract men with, or girls if she likes girls. And another fundamental problem that I have with fake tits is that if you hide your insecurities by getting work done, then it's just a way of getting around your issues instead of facing them directly, and you're just adding a fake dynamic into your existence, in my opinion. And the problem is they don't even have the desired effect because of how noticeably fake they are. All they do is make a girl appear to be more attractive when she's fully clothed. But what matters is feeling attractive to the person that you're hooking up with. If I had to guess, this is what girls primarily get fake tits for. And knowing how fake tits are, I can't imagine girls feel sexy when they reveal them. Do girls get breast implants and internally truly believe that now they have a nice body? My guess is most girls with fake tits are still wired to believe that they don't have a nice body. It would be different if they were indistinguishable. If they were indistinguishable, then the internal wiring would adjust and they would eventually believe they had a nice body, but just because they're noticeably fake, I don't think the internal wiring ever adjusts. And like, I can't stress enough, I have to preface this by saying I might be a gay man, so anything I say about girls you have to take with a grain of salt. But for me personally, it's a disappointment if I start hooking up with a girl and then that's when I realize that her tits are fake. If I thought she had a nice body, then I no longer believe she does. The first time I've ever heard me and Rogan fundamentally disagree on anything was when he was talking about fake tits once. And I just found his perspective to be like really strange. He says something like, who cares? Tits are tits. Stop being like that. Like, he said it like somebody like me is being stubborn. Like, all I want to do is be heterosexual. You know what I mean? Like, I've gone through 39 years fighting off the gay. So if there was a chance that I might be able to get turned on by fake tits, then why would I not pretend to? You know what I mean? Like, I think real tits turn me on, but I know fake tits don't. Specifically the over-the-top, huge, perfect circular ones, which I'll get to in a second. But like I was saying before, I get Rogan's perspective if fake tits were indistinguishable from real ones, but the fact that they look and feel fake makes him sound so fucking ridiculous saying what he said how he said it. Specifically somebody like him who avidly preaches living an organic lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like, if one person wasn't into fake tits, I would feel like Rogan would be the one. But when I was younger, I didn't give a fuck if tits were fake. You know what I mean? Like, I just loved Hooters when I was younger. The bigger the better. When you're 12 years old, you figure the more perfect the tits look, the nicer they are. I didn't know what real tits actually look like, so those huge, perfect, circular, fake tits with no sag whatsoever were what I thought nice tits were. Playboys and the swimsuit models of yesteryear gave me a false perception of what tits actually look like. I didn't know what the fuck I was jerking off to when I was younger, and that's part of the reason I wasn't getting turned on back then when I was jerking off. And then the first two pairs of tits that I actually felt were not surprisingly strippers, and not surprisingly, both pairs of tits were fake. The first pair looked like what I now know as normal looking tits. If you touch them softly, then they felt real. But when you applied pressure with your hand, then you can feel the implant at like the core of the breast. These types of fake tits are definitely acceptable. Like, they enhance how a girl looks, but touching them is still uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good. Like, if you're careful when you're touching them, then yeah. But like, if you're hooking up with your girl and going at it, you're undoubtedly going to feel the implant and it just feels uncomfortable. And then the second girl's tits that I touched ended up being the stripper that I paid to have sex with me. She was my special one. To nobody's fault but myself, together that night, me and that girl made history. What we engaged in went down as the most pathetic attempt at sexual intercourse in the history of the universe. But when I saw her initially, I was like, holy shit, look at those titties on that girl. They were probably like at least double D's, whatever the fuck that means. But they were like absolutely perfect, like no sag whatsoever, just two round mountains. But then when I got to touch them, my tone adjusted. Touch them literally made me cringe. The texture of them was hard. It was like touching a basketball. That was what traumatized me to fake tits. Ever since that night, I was totally done with fake tits. Like, if I know tits are fake, then I just don't care to see or touch them. And now I'm at the point where if I see over-the-top, huge fake tits, I just roll my eyes. Like, it's such a farce to me. Am I supposed to play along like, boobies, boobies, look at the huge boobies, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not 12 years old anymore. Like, that shit flies for kids, you know what I mean? But when you grow up and shit, I feel like you start to see what it is. But because of how traumatizing that experience was, it actually wired me in what I believe is a healthy way, because now I get turned on when I see tits with a little bit of sag. When I see sag and cleavage, like, I think that shit's mad hot. And like, I'm just so fundamentally torn on how I feel about fake tits, because like I was saying before, I don't think you want to fuck with your balance. But having nice tits is so important for a girl that if you could just swallow an organic pill to enlarge them and make them indistinguishable from real ones, then how could I be against it? You know what I mean? Like, how could anybody be against it? And I could never fault girls for doing that. But like I was just saying, I just think you're supposed to ride out the chemistry of your nature. And if you get fake tits, then it fucks up the dynamics of your existence and it just throws everything out of whack. Autumn Falls is a porn star who was born extremely disproportionate, but in the best way possible. She also has like a beautiful face, but what makes her stand out is her tits. Like, she has perfect tits. Living with big tits is part of her existence. She's had to deal with boob sweat her whole life and probably hated it. Like, big tits were probably a pain in the ass for her growing up in a bunch of ways, but the payoff is now she attracts guys with her tits, so she's supposed to be flattered by guys staring at her tits. It's in her nature, you know what I mean? Whereas a girl with small tits hopefully has some other attributes that are attractive that aren't supposed to be overshadowed by fake tits that aren't actually hers. Like, it's seen as a bad thing for a girl if a guy just likes her for her tits, so it must be a really bad thing if a guy just likes a girl for her fake tits. And that's the difference between hooking up with Autumn Falls and appreciating her tits, opposed to hooking up with the girl with fake tits and appreciating hers. Autumn Falls is thinking, like, even if he only likes me for my tits, like, at least he likes me for me. Like, girls are supposed to turn guys on with their natural features, otherwise it throws off the dynamics of the hookup. If you were born with small tits, then your hookups aren't supposed to revolve around your tits unless the guy that she's with doesn't mind small tits and he could properly appreciate them, which is probably the biggest turn on ever for girls with small tits. If I was born a girl with small tits, it would be such a bigger turnoff for me if a guy was going to town on my small tits and seemed like he was loving it, opposed to some guy worshiping my fake knockers. And in terms of like how getting work done could throw off the balance and dynamics of who you are during a hookup, you could use me as an example. Like, I am who I am because I have a small dick. I think my dick matches my reflection perfectly. I don't think any girls are expecting Stern Worm to pull out a massive cock. Sex with Stern Worm is supposed to be about like me bringing passion, us doing weird shit together, and hopefully having electric chemistry. It's not supposed to revolve around me just like dicking girls down. So if dick enlargements were possible, and if I got it done, then I might technically sling better dick, but the essence of my hookups might suffer because the dynamics are thrown out of whack. And another way that fake tits fucks up the dynamics of a hookup is if the guy doesn't know that they're fake going into it, then it sets up a moment of truth on the horizon when the guy's going to realize. Like, that's what sucks the most for somebody like me who has a small dick. You inherently have a moment of truth every time you hook up with the girl because they can't see your dick beforehand. And that's the problem with fake tits. If a girl has fake tits and is wearing a shirt that doesn't show her cleavage, then she has a moment of truth when she takes her shirt off for a guy, setting up potential disappointment. Like, it sucks to have small tits, but at least it's on the surface. That's why, like, even though to me it's like an eye roll when chicks flaunt their fake tits, it's better that they do that than they try to be deceptive. And not saying that chicks are trying to be deceptive when they aren't showing them, but it is better that it's known, so like it's all on the surface. And if it's obvious that a girl's tits are fake, then she'll at least attract guys who don't care or might even prefer fake tits. And that's who girls with fake tits should be targeting to hook up with, because then fake tits would have the desired effect of making the girl feel more attractive if the guy clearly likes them. Like, I think the reason that fake tits don't have the desired effect is because I bet a lot of guys are disappointed by fake tits. But if a girl's only hooking up with guys that like fake tits, then it's going to have the desired effect because he's more attracted to the girl. If the guy that the girl's hooking up with doesn't care that they're fake, then it really doesn't matter that they're fake. But here's what I will say, and another reason why I think fake tits are a mistake for a girl to get. Even if she's attracting men who do like fake tits, maybe I'm wrong, but in my opinion, I think she's more likely to be attracting a faker group of men than if that same girl went about her life with natural smaller tits. And I might just be inaccurately stereotyping guys that like fake tits. Like, Rogan's a real dude to me and he loves fake tits. He just wants to see some big hooters. But I just think it's extremely weird to like fake tits. But to each his own, though. But there's nothing that I find more unattractive than that over-the-top Instagram influencer look. When chicks get mad work done, I call it the Instagram influencer look. Very often you hear women who haven't been fucked in decades talking about girls on Instagram and saying girls don't actually look like that. There are some fine-ass bitches just posting their photos on Instagram. I know because I've known fine-ass bitches who go out on weekends and they just post their photos on Instagram of when they went out on the weekend looking fine as fuck. Yeah, they're wearing makeup and they probably have filters on the pictures, but that's definitely what they look like. I know because I've seen them. Like, I've seen mad, ridiculously hot girls in real life. Like, I'd imagine a bunch of them have Instagram pages and look like they do in real life on their Instagram pages. But there's a certain look that if your Instagram photos look like this, if you see these chicks in person, they never look like they do in their Instagram photos. photos, these girls' tits are fake 100% of the time. When you see them in person, you try not to stare, but like you're staring in a bad way, not because you're sexually attracted to them. Chicks who get mad work done look like a cross between a playmate and a transsexual because they naturally slightly have that playmate look, but they just don't got it like that, so they get surgeries going for that playmate look, but they're getting the same surgeries that transsexuals get, so their looks blend together. And like I said earlier, your aura is your aura for a reason, and when chicks keep getting work done, then their aura becomes manufactured and they radiate fakeness. Specifically fake tits though. When a girl gets fake tits, I feel like she's introducing an all-encompassing, multifaceted fake dynamic into her existence, or she's just exposing one that already exists underneath. But generally speaking, I expect a girl's personality to match how she looks. If a chick got fake tits and mad facial work done, then I just expect a manufactured person. Who's more likely to have an authentic personality, is fun to be around, and have hookups where like you're totally connected to her? Some girl who looks as pure as the ocean, or some girl who keeps getting work done to alter her physical reflection? It just makes sense that there's a correlation between chicks getting mad work done and chicks being fake. And not ironically, whenever you hear that gold digger story of like some 35-year-old woman marrying like a billionaire 95-year-old man, it's always some chick with like that Instagram influencer look. Like it's never the chick that looks like the girl next door that did that. But to each their own. Like if a chick wants to get mad work done, that's her right as a person. But it bothers me when I'm expected to play along with it and I'm supposed to interact with her like she's a badass bitch and I'm like consumed by her sex appeal. I feel like it's prevalent for girls with over-the-top fake tits to walk around flaunting them like men are supposed to be drooling. And I'm not gonna lie, like if a chick has like an authentic vibe and she's not wearing revealing shirts, then fake tits blend in with her energy and she undoubtedly becomes more attractive. Like I bet there's a few girls that I've worked with that I've loved their energy and I thought they were hot as fuck, but I just didn't realize that they had fake tits because we don't really wear revealing shirts at work. So you could have fake tits and still keep a pure look, but like I was saying earlier, like it catches up to them because those are the girls who have the biggest moment of truth when they're hooking up with the guy, because the fake tits are more likely to catch a guy off guard when these girls are hooking up with the dude, opposed to like a chick who has an Instagram influencer look. Like when chicks had the Instagram influencer look, like the dudes they hook up with, they expect fake tits, you know what I mean? The girls I'm talking about where it blends with their energy, those girls, they catch guys off when it's fake tits. And then that's kind of like the cap on my objections with fake tits. But this episode is like a sequel to the Porn Vision because Adriana Chechik is who I had as my top choice that I'm trying to fuck with if this all goes down. And then I went onto her Instagram page and I saw pictures where it looked like she had like super fake tits. And then I saw a couple clips from podcasts where it looked like her tits were like huge. And I wasn't sure whether she was wearing a push-up bra or not, but it just threw me off because I seen her with her shirt off where like her tits look normal size and extremely real. So like I Googled it, and of course she got breast implants in 2021. The porn videos that I watch are all older. I think it takes like a few years for the videos to hit the free porn sites. So it makes sense that all the videos I've seen of hers are from before she got the implants. But the Google search that I did was Adriana Chechik breast implants, and it brought me to a website called Boopedia. And they have a before and after picture next to each other, and it's shocking how much better the before picture looks. Her after picture looks like everything I've been talking about on this podcast. They're just those perfect circular fake tits. They look so fake. I don't get it. I just don't get why a girl with, in my opinion, natural tits that look good and enhance her physical appearance would get surgery to make them bigger. She can't possibly look at those photos side by side and think the after photo looks better than the before one. And like, I'm not trying to drag her name through the mud. Like, chances are that this podcast gets no views and it's a non-issue, but I'd leave her name out of it. But unfortunately, I already recorded the last podcast episode where I had her as tied as my top choice that I'm trying to fuck with. So I feel like I kind of had to like put out this like little retraction to it, because like the way her fake tits look now, like it's such a turn off to me that like I don't even want to fuck her anymore. Like my arousal is fickle as fuck. But now, like, instead of hooking up with her, I just want to do a podcast with her talking about her decision, fake tits in general, and chicks getting work done. And if this goes down, my goal is to do a podcast with her, Matt Stafford's wife, who's spoken publicly about regretting her decision to get fake tits and she reversed the surgery. And I want to get Janice Griffith on the podcast, who's another porn star like Adriana Chechik, who has fake tits. She filmed before fake tits and she filmed after the fake tits. She's the girl with the smallest tits I've ever jerked off to. I want to get her on the podcast though, because I get why she got fake tits. She had such small tits that like it enhances how she looks visually for porn. But with her, it goes back to like what I was saying before. Like, you just want to embrace what makes you attractive. She fucking glows. Her personality is so fucking hot and she's so fun to watch have sex. Like, yeah, it turns me off when a girl doesn't have tits, but she was so hot that she was still sexy. Before the surgery, like, her energy just made up for her small tits. But the point of the episode would be, I want one girl, Matt Stafford's wife, who totally has the same view as me. One girl, Adriana, who I don't understand why she got the implants. And one girl, Janice, who I do understand why she got the implants. And I just want to hear from the latter two how they feel about their decisions. It wouldn't be like an argument or anything about whether or not the girls should get fake tits. Like, they all know better than me, and like every girl should do what's individually best for her. I just think it would be like a really interesting episode to have a discussion about it. And Janice and Adriana both seem like cool ass chicks, and I bet they're like mad reasonable people to get their perspectives on this. And they're public examples where anybody could see them before and after. So I think it'd be interesting to get their perspectives on how they both individually feel about their decisions. And I wonder if what they were working with before gives them different vantage points and like affects how they feel about their decision. Like, I'd expect Adriana to have buyer's remorse more than Janice because she didn't really need it, in my opinion. But if she's happy with her decision, then I want to hear about it. You know what I mean? Like I wonder how she feels about it. But visually, I think Adriana was more attractive before the implants, and Janice became more attractive after getting the implants. But personally, I could only jerk off to either of the videos from before. Even though like Janice visually looks better now, I could only imagine how fake her tits probably feel, and I just can't get into any video where I see them because it's just such an instant turnoff. And then finally, as somebody who's against fake tits, would I get a dick enlargement if there was like a real way to do it? And it comes back to what I was saying earlier, like, your balance is your balance for a reason. Like, if I had a big dick, then I would be a totally different person. Sternworm, the artist, never comes into fruition. Like, yeah, it would be nice to have a massive cock, but like, it's just not in my nature. But with that said, obviously, if there was an organic pill that naturally grew it, then I would definitely do that. I wouldn't like the idea of like injecting a shot into my dick, but if I could do that and it grows my dick naturally and everybody else was doing it, then I would probably still do that. But I definitely wouldn't get any type of surgical procedure to grow my dick, especially because if it's a surgical procedure, then it would presumably feel fake. Whether or not it feels fake is the breaking point for how interested I am in any type of dick enlargement. I definitely wouldn't do anything that made my dick feel fake. If a girl's getting penetrated by a dick that feels fake, then it's probably going to feel like exponentially more uncomfortable than like touching fake tits. I think the size of a dick for a guy is more important than tits for a girl because it's necessary for penetration. So size is extremely important. And even if the fake dick's uncomfortable, it might still be a guy's best option if his dick beforehand wasn't even like serviceable. Like, if a guy has a dick that's extremely small when it's hard, he might as well just try to become an artist at that point. That's his best option. And that's the one thing I have going for me. Like, when my dick is hard, it's like plenty big enough. Like, size isn't really like a major problem for me. And that's why like I would never even think about getting any type of dick implant that felt fake. I wouldn't want to like fuck up my dick like that. I used to think like I had the most pathetic dick in the history of the universe and I was like cursed by God, but now like I don't mind it. Like, it's kind of like the perfect size for me. At peak arousal, it's basically like 6.5 inches, maybe slightly smaller. I'm not even like self-conscious of my dick when it's hard. Like, I feel like it's a dick that like girls would like. The problem is it's absolutely embarrassing when it's soft, specifically when I get anxious, it shrivels up and there's like nothing there. And obviously I get anxious when I might hook up with the girl. So you think that you should get rock hard when you're about to hook up with the hot girl, but if you're anxious and under mad pressure, then it just shrivels up. And like, when my dick shrivels up, it's probably like not even an inch. The tip is bigger than the dick when it's shriveled up. It's so embarrassing. And that's why a dick implant wouldn't even make sense for me, because my dick would probably still shrivel up even if I had the implant. The implant would probably just make your erections bigger, which isn't what I necessarily need. What I need is the ability to get hard on command. Like, that's what I really want. You know what I mean? The ability to get hard on command. Like, sometimes it feels like I could get off to anything. Like, it feels like I'm just going to come in 10 seconds when I start jerking jerking off. And then sometimes it feels like nothing's going to turn me on. I know the key to it though is what I was just mentioning. It's pressure. Whenever I feel pressure, my dick shrivels up. And there's undoubtedly science behind it because my dick shrivels up immensely and basically disappears whenever I do any type of cardio. Like running or like now riding on my bike. Like, cause now I have my bike at my apartment. And like every time I'm done like doing an interval, like I look at my dick and I'll be like, oh my God, there's literally nothing there right now. And like my dick also shrivels up when like the weather's hot as fuck because it puts pressure on my system. Certain people, their dick shrivels up whenever their system's under pressure. I'm guessing turtles go into their shell when they feel pressure, and it's the same shit. In between social pressure, performance anxiety, self-consciousness about my body, how badly I don't want to be gay, plus how long I've been putting off hooking up with the girl, the pressure that I feel hooking up with the girl is exponentially magnified to any other pressure that I might face. Just the thought of hooking up with the girl totally consumes me by pressure. But like now, for the first time ever, I actually believe in myself. I'm still in my head because I need to get like over the hump and see a few shots go in before like I really have faith in myself. But for the first time ever, like I actually feel ready to start hooking up with girls. I'm so out of the game and broken though that I need like extremely special circumstances and the right chick that's down for this. And she has to be down with doing things like extremely unconventionally. Like people literally can't comprehend how deep this runs. My wiring is literally fucked up. I associate girls with social pressure, not excitement, whereas I associate digital screens with arousal. I'm literally sick. If I'm starting to feel horny, I crave isolation and a digital screen, whether it's a computer or a phone. And when I see my computer or phone and I get into an area where I have privacy, it kicks my arousal up another gear. It's like seeing a toilet when you have to piss. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel when I see a screen. That's how attracted I am to screens right now, because the only time I ever get off is from jerking off, and I use screens to jerk off. You know what I mean? Like my wiring is so fucked up. I need to realign myself. But once I adjust internally, I think I'm going to be a machine, because once I'm in a zone, I could go mad times and my confidence is on a positive trajectory. At my age right now, like most people are losing faith in themselves. Whereas for the first time ever, I'm actually gaining it. I just need to get some momentum sexually, and then I think I'm going to be totally fine. And then eventually I'll just be as comfortable and as excited when I'm about to hang out with the girl as when I am when I'm about to be by myself and jerk off. And that's what kind of readjusting alignment is. But I truly believe I'm like the opposite of what I've reflected sexually my whole life. I've always just been like the face of asexuality, but I truly believe like I am like this kid that people look at like, damn, that kid just refuses to mature. All he wants to do is sit around and fuck all day. And now for my special one, I've totally locked into Gianna Dior. If she has any interest in this, then she's just the perfect person for the job. She's fine as fuck, and I think she just seems mad cool. And I've heard her talk about like she just wants dudes that she could be friends with, hang out, and hook up with. Like that was always like my philosophy with chicks, but like I can never bring it to fruition. Just like find chicks that just want to smoke and hook up while we smoke. But like I know Gianna will love my music, and if that's the case, then I bet if I could reach out to her and if she's single, then she'd be down to walk me through this process and get like weird with me in ways that would be totally impossible with any other girl in any other circumstances. And like I want to do shit that would be impossible to pull off with her if I met her through any other situation than how I might meet her through this. Like I want to get creepy with her, but if she's into me, then she'll like it and it'll turn her on. Like let's say we have plans to chill early afternoon, like I'll edge myself all morning leading up to it, like sending her pictures of myself like naked and videos of me stroking it. If she wants, she could send me like jerk off encouragement, and she could like send me like real jerk off encouragement videos. So like we could have like a nice sexual back and forth before we actually hang out. And then when we hang out, I could just pick up where I left off. Like we could just smoke and I'll just exist like I'm by myself and I'm on my own frequency, but with her there. You know what I mean? Like I'm still talking to her there, but I'm stroking it like I'm on my own frequency. Like I would never fucking massage my dick over my pants like if I'm chilling with the girl, but in this situation, if she's allowing me to do it, then hell yeah, you know what I mean? And what this does is, instead of like this moment of truth where like I have my shot with the porn star and there's mad pressure onto me to get hard when she pulls out my dick, I feel like if I just hang out with her and she gives me the pass to be weird, and like I could just kind of like play with myself on my own terms when we're smoking, then I could slowly dissipate the pressure. Like I don't think I'll have any problems getting turned on with her in front of me like that. Specifically like with her talking to me, because if I think a girl's hot, like when she talks and her body movements, it turns me on. But like I was just saying, like we'll just smoke and I'll just massage my dick through my pants using her as material. I feel like I'll be able to get turned on for the first time ever in front of an actual girl. And like if I get rock hard, like I'll pull it out, and like if she lets me touch her, I'll touch her. If she lets me kiss her, like I'll kiss her, you know what I mean? But like I don't even want to hug her when I see her at first. Like if she's down for it, or whatever girl's down for this, like when I, like, let's say I go over to her apartment, like, I don't want to give her a hug saying hi, because I don't want to give her, like, a platonic hug. I want whatever girl's down for this, the first time that I touch her, I want my dick to be out and hard as fuck, because then I'll associate touching her with arousal. Like, I just want to touch her skin with my dick out, or, like, kiss her if she'll kiss me. But I just want to do it when I'm turned on. Like, I don't want to feel any platonicness the first time I hug the girl that I'm going to do this with. Because if I hang out with the girl and, like, I give her the hello hug, like, I'm not in sexual mode, I'm in social mode. But like, I'm so broken that I literally need a therapeutic process to get me through this. It doesn't matter how hot the girl is, I just can't go into a room and fuck the shit out of any chick right now. And that's why I gave up on girls in real life, because like I can never try to get this unconventional in the real world, but somehow I might be able to stumble into the perfect circumstances where I could get this unconventional with such a hot girl. And I think this would be fun for her. Like, girls love hating on guys and calling them creepy. They love calling guys creepy. Creepiness could undoubtedly be a bad thing, but girls should embrace creepiness in guys like much more than they do. Me personally, like, feeling creepy and feeling sexual go hand in hand. I'm much more arousing to girls if I'm free to be creepy around them. And when the creepiness is associated with the girl turning on the guy with her sheer presence, then it's a good thing that he's being creepy around her, as long as the girl thinks that the guy is cute. If a girl thinks that a guy is kind of cute and he thinks that she's hot as fuck, I think it's an amazing idea for a guy to just jerk off in front of her, using her as material before they ever actually hook up. I would think that's such a turn on for the girl, and it instantly creates like sexual chemistry between them. But so in a perfect world, for a few hours, me and Gianna, we would, or whatever girl's down for this, because I don't want to put mad pressure on her, because like she's like, oh fuck this kid, but like we would smoke bullshit and like I just jerk off but I don't come, and then we would go out to eat in like a restaurant the whole meal, knowing that like I'm like losing my mind, ready to explode. Then afterwards we hang out again, we smoke for a little bit, we bullshit, and I jerk off some more, and then when she's in the mood, she just puts it in her mouth and I finish, you know what I mean? But the point is, like, I want to fucking edge myself before dinner and then just like build up anticipation while we're out for dinner, and then come back and like finish it off at her pace. And obviously, like, those are just ideas. Like, if she's down for this, everything would go down on her terms, but hopefully Gianna is down for this. And if not, like I was just saying, it's all good. There's no pressure on it to happen with her. But like, if I get to Rogan, hopefully I could find a porn chick that I like, that likes what I'm putting down. But like, I could just imagine Gianna Dior like absolutely fucking loving some guy just sitting there jerking off looking at her while they're smoking a joint together. Like, that just seems right up her alley. And I've spoken a lot about my dick in this episode. Lucky for my regular viewers, anyone could actually see what my infamous dick looks like, because I have an OnlyFans account. It's free access. I posted pictures of my dick shriveled up at its worst, and I post pictures of my dick at peak arousal, and people could really see like how much it fluctuates. It literally looks like a different dick. The difference is shocking, and if and when people see pictures of my dick shriveled up, they'll know why I keep it in my pants. But I find it empowering if any girl I might hook up with has seen what my dick looks like shriveled up at its worst, because then I'm much less self-conscious before I hook up with the girl. It eliminates that moment of truth that I was talking about before. It always felt like the second a girl sees my dick soft, it's gonna ruin everything, and she's gonna be disgusted and like totally turned off. But if she's seen it already and still wants to be there, then I don't have to worry about that. We're just on the same team to just make sure like I'm on the right track to arousal when she pulls it out. That's the most important thing. Just like making sure the guy is getting turned on when you pull out the dick. And I like having pictures posted on my OnlyFans of my dick at its best, just so girls could see that I actually do have a pretty decent dick. They just got to get it out of me. I feel like when they see those pictures, they'll realize like who the fuck cares what it looks like when it's soft. And when they see those pictures, they'll be like, oh wow, I just want this kid to fuck me. And then I also have videos on my OnlyFans of me jerking off all the way to the cum shot. Anyone who wants could watch Sternworm blasting loads on my OnlyFans account. And I like having the jerk off videos because it shows me in a sexual light to any girls that check it out. And I feel like the jerk off videos are relatively attractive to watch. Like maybe they get some pussies wet. Sternworm on all platforms. Sternworm, trip of a lifetime. Let's fucking go.